In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 things that are both a pro and a con to living in Frisco, Texas. So stay tuned. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Glad to meet you. My name is Wendy Pinnell. I am a local real estate broker here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you want to know everything there is to know about living in Dallas, Texas, and including what we're going to talk about today, which is Frisco, Texas, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell. Okay, so like I said, today we're going to be digging in deep to all things Frisco and why Frisco is such a great place to live. And you know, as we talk through these 5 things, you're going to get to know, the nuances that make Frisco what it is. We're going to take 5 things, we're going to turn them both into pros and to cons. And by doing that, goodness, by the end of this video, you're gonna know whether or not Frisco is the perfect place for you to live. Okay, well, let's jump into pro number 1. Let's talk about schools. Okay, so on the surface, schools in Frisco are all pro, okay? They have fantastic ratings. Niche.com gives them an A+. In fact, they're rated as the 7th best school district in all of Texas. Now, that's niche.com. You want to go a little deeper, hop on over to greatschools.org, and you're going to find out that 48 out of 63 schools in Frisco score above average or higher. So yeah, we're talking 76% of Frisco schools score above average, okay? That is clearly a pro all the way around. They have a fantastic teacher-student ratio, right? 15 students to every 1 teacher. That's fantastic. It shows up in their graduation rate. They have a 98% graduation rate. And since Frisco's constantly growing, they constantly have new schools, which means they have state-of-the-art technology. They have some fantastic career centers. Overall, man, fantastic. Tons of reason to call schools pros in Frisco. So you might be like, okay, Wendy, how are the schools a con? So let's talk about that, okay? Frisco has this rule that they've had from the beginning that really limits enrollment in schools, right? They have maximum amounts, and that sounds on the surface like a fantastic idea. But what happens is because of that, they're constantly having to build new schools, and then they have to redistrict, right? And so your child is in one school one year, and the next year they're in a completely different school. This causes a lot of angry parents. Found articles like that very easily online. It also has a really negative effect on athletics, and you might not think of that right off, but what happens is because you have so many high schools, right, because of those enrollment limitations, you get a constant division of talent. And then also what happens is that you don't get a team cohesiveness when students are moved to different high schools, right? So yeah, as terms of a con, I think, that constant redistricting and building new schools, I think that can really be a con when it comes to Frisco schools. Okay, let's turn the corner and talk about pro and con number 2. Let's talk about houses, okay? One thing you need to know about Frisco, Texas is that most of the housing, the neighborhoods, the subdivisions, most of them follow the master planned subdivision model, okay? So what that means in that typical master planned subdivision, you're gonna see a lot of houses, high volume of houses, okay? You're gonna see beautiful green spaces, all right? You're typically gonna see like a pond, a playground, usually lots of paved trails throughout the city. And one thing to know about Frisco is they came upon a period of time where they grew very explosively, right? So all of a sudden, tons of growth, right? And almost all of those neighborhoods, if not all of those neighborhoods, following that master planned model, okay? So one of the pros that you get to that is when you go through Frisco, you kind of have this feeling of it all being very similar and all being very beautiful, right? Because what you see as you're driving through is you see these neighborhoods that have beautiful green spaces, right? And beautiful ponds and fountains, okay? So that all sounds great. What are the cons to the housing in Frisco? Okay, well, first of all, they're pretty expensive, okay? Frisco is an expensive place to live. The median sales price is $700,000. Another big con that you need to know about is these master plan subdivisions have really small backyards. We're talking really, really small. And so while you're driving through and you're seeing those beautiful, green spaces and those paved trails, what you're not seeing is how tiny those backyards are, and all the wood privacy fences. And some people are fine with that. Other people are kind of like, yeah, I'd rather have a bigger yard. And so for that reason, really, we can see that, that can be a con to housing in Frisco. So yeah, the fact that it is expensive and the fact that almost all of the yards are really small, those can definitely be seen as cons. So hopefully that makes sense to you, how housing can both be a pro and a con. All right, let's move on to pro and con number 3. Okay, pro and con number 3. Let's talk about enjoying the outdoors in Frisco. Now, I mentioned earlier that Frisco has a very strong presence of those master plan subdivisions, and those master plan subdivisions, a very common trait you're going to see in them is paved trails, okay? So all of these neighborhoods have this emphasis on walking trails, right? But they're not alone, because the city also has a parkway connector trails, right? So within this city of Frisco, first of all, you've got all these master plan subdivisions with all of these paved trails, but then you've got these trails and fitness areas completely interwoven with that throughout the city. So you've got the city doing the same thing, the neighborhoods doing the same thing. Wow, you've just got some fantastic reasons to be out there and bike and walk and hike. So much to enjoy there in the outdoors there at Frisco. Okay then, you're probably wondering, Wendy, that sounds great. What are the cons about enjoying the outdoors in Frisco? Well, listen, all these master plan subdivisions, like I said earlier, that means no one has a big backyard, okay? We're talking really small backyards. You step out there and there's not really any trees. Pretty much what you're looking at is like a wood privacy fence, okay? So if you're one of the type that are like, hey, I want to enjoy the outdoors, I want to do it on my own land, just want to get out there, maybe have some horses. You're not going to find that in Frisco, okay? And that's a major con. You're not going to find acreage in Frisco. Also, okay, because the growth was so explosive in Frisco over like a relatively short period of time, you're not going to find a ton of towering mature trees in Frisco, right? So, if you're looking to buy in Frisco and you're like, you know what, I love older neighborhoods and I don't mind getting old houses because I just love those towering mature trees that I see in older neighborhoods. Okay, if that is your vibe, you're really not going to have success looking for that in Frisco. Okay, so the outdoors, love all those trails, love all that hiking and biking and playgrounds and parks. But if you want that privately, like if you want it on acreage or you want huge mature trees, that's going to be a con for you. It means Frisco may not be the best of fits for you. Okay, let's move on to pro and con number 4. Let's talk about rapid growth. Okay, so the pros of rapid growth. First of all, man, it makes you recession proof, okay? You buy a home in Frisco, you can be guaranteed, right, that that's gonna be a stable area because it's high demand. Everybody's moving to Frisco, right? And it's not a bedroom community. So we're not talking about just as a place to live, because Frisco has jobs, it has businesses, it's had entertainment, and all of that is growing along with the housing. So, Frisco is a very self-sustaining city with excellent jobs, high school scores and new houses, right? So that's all just due to that rapid growth of people moving in, and not just people, but businesses as well. Okay, so what are the cons of rapid growth, right? Well, this one's probably kind of come to mind very easily, and it is traffic, okay? Frisco has major traffic issues, especially going east-west. Now, Frisco does have their north-south tollway, but for as big as it is, to only have one north-south tollway and no east-west rapid highways, this is going to cause a lot of traffic, which in turn is going to cause you to have a longer commute, right? Also, you got to figure with all that growth, you're going to see construction vehicles in there. And like I mentioned earlier, you're going to have constant redistricting of schools. And a lot of parents are just not a fan of that. Okay, so hopefully that helps you see how that rapid growth can really be both a pro and a con, because it's nice to know that things in the city are going to be stable and that they're vibrant, but at the same time, you got to kind of pay that price with a lot of traffic. So if you've got major issues with traffic, you may be deciding right now in the middle of this video that Frisco is not the place for you. Okay, though, let's move on, turn the corner. Let's talk about pro and con number 5. Let's talk about entertainment. Now, you may be thinking, Wendy, how in the world can entertainment be a pro and a con? So, well, that's why I'm here. Let's dig into that, right? You know, obviously the pro is that you're never going to get bored in Frisco. Okay, there are things to do for all age levels. Okay, you're never even going to have to leave the city, right? From everything from like Kidzania for the kiddos, all the way up to like indoor skydiving, okay? Plus fantastic shopping right there in Frisco. Pretty much every sport you can think of is represented in Frisco. Everything from FC Dallas for soccer, along with football, goodness, basketball, baseball. The good news is that all of these as entertainment sources, they provide revenue sources for the city that helps keep city and school taxes relatively low. Okay, so the tax rate is 2.18% in Frisco. And to kind of give you perspective on that, property taxes range in the DFW area anywhere from like 1.9% to like 3.4%. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea that really Frisco taxes are kind of on the low side, and what helps with that are all these entertainment things that provide revenue to the city. So, you know, obviously that is a very big pro for entertainment. Okay, so you might be wondering, hey, Wendy, what are the cons here of entertainment? Well, one of the big cons is that it's going to bring in a lot of traffic. And, you know, we just talked about how even just with Frisco residents alone, you've already got traffic issues, but all that entertainment is going to bring in a lot of non-residents. So now you have just the residents in Frisco, but you've got all of these non-residents coming in as well. So picture just, you know, sporting events, how much traffic that's going to bring into town, right? You know, another major con that we're seeing that, you know, really arguably could be attributed to lots of non-residents is we've seen crime increase quite a bit in Frisco, okay? Crimegrade.org gives Frisco a C+, okay? And if you look it up on Area Vibes, they give Frisco a rating of 52, meaning Frisco is not really any safer or more dangerous, right, than other American cities. It's fallen right there in the middle, which really, you would not have said that about Frisco just a few years ago. So yeah, pro and con of entertainment, right? Okay, so we've kind of taken a unique view on pros and cons of Frisco today, and I've done that to really help give you a balanced view of what you're gonna find there, right? So 5 things that some people are gonna say is all pro, other people are gonna say, oh, these are all cons. But the good news is you've watched this video, so you get to decide for yourself. All right, well, listen, was this information helpful? I sure hope it was. If it was, listen, the next best thing you can do is hop back over to my channel because we've got tons of videos just like these and more. We've got vlog tours, we've got map tours, we have tours just like these, we have comparison tours. So listen, definitely hop back over to my channel, and you know what? Maybe in this video you've decided either yes to Frisco or yes to somewhere else. In either event, if you have a move in your future, scroll on down to that description section and click on our Let's Find Home questionnaire. It's a great first place for you to sign on with OnTrack Realty. Again, we've been in the business since 2007, right? So you can be guaranteed it's going to be a great experience with experienced professionals. Listen, in the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching, for joining me today, and have a great day.